All right, everybody, we're back. Oh, yes, we are back here, and it's going to be David Gremaud versus Josh Sokol on stream. Just to cut off the NWL link defaults to Collins, I see in the chat. Okay, we'll try to fix that in a minute. But here we are, round 7, David versus Josh, 2 players at 4 and 2. And I think they're just waiting for us to get started here. It looks like David is about to get underway. So let me see the NWL link. I think that the first link, this link defaults to Collins.
So while Will's figuring that out, looks like David is drawing his first letters. I actually don't have a lot of background on him. Have you played him before, Will?
I haven't. No, I'm not familiar with him. So hopefully we'll get a good sense of his strategy here. I actually see the links are correct. Just make sure that you're clicking the top one so you can see when I query the standings, it says CSW standings, then a link, then it says NWL standings, then a link. When I click those, it's correct both times. Hopefully it's that helps. All right, so David going first, and he's got 2 Ys on his rack. I wonder if he's gonna almost certainly have to play one of these 2 Ys. Obey seems like a reasonable way to do that. And Josh, of course, a couple of words being pointed out already, such as twosome, which is a Scottish word for a twosome. So either way, looks like Josh is in good shape, almost regardless of what David elects to play. And he is about to play Obey. Seems reasonable enough. I mean, what else here, right? Like Biome leaving YY, Morris.
I would have maybe just played Boy or Yob for that matter. I think keeping the E there is pretty good. But
True.
I understand the logic of this. I mean, keep in mind also he created another Y spot underneath the B, which is kind of pretty.
Oh wow, stemware suggested by Fernplant. That looks tremendous. Playing to the E of Obey for a boatload of points. Josh, I definitely expect to find this. But the only question is how long is it going to take him? And when he does, it's going to be 95 points down the center of the board. So great start to Josh. If he spots it, which even if he doesn't, he's going to play Warmest or something like that, which will still be pretty strong, especially, paralleling Obey is kind of nice too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth that 9-point sacrifice, Morris. Is that something you would ever consider?
Absolutely, yeah. But he's actually going for Twasum, which also is very nice. I mean, all of these are scoring nicely just because the W and M in all of these plays we're suggesting are slotted in just ideal spaces. But yeah, Warmest would have been a pretty cool idea, and I think definitely it's the kind of play that I feel like Josh likes. But Twasum also I think makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, I mean the scary thing about it is just placing that E down there at the lowest part of the play is certainly there are a lot of longer words that end in things like IER, ERS, ED. So you do incur a little bit of a risk there as Josh is going to want to play Bonjour with this rack, but you cannot play that here, unfortunately. So yeah, he'll have to come up with something else with that J. So we'll see what Josh does. But meanwhile, back over to David, and I mean, Josh is also going to be tempted to play Nut Job or something like that, but even that it will not play here.
Nut Job could play through the T.
Oh, is that valid? in
Oh,
this?
I don't know. uh,
Oh, I guess it is. Yeah, that job is
yeah,
in this dictionary. So, all
yeah.
right. So, Aggie, sorry about that, folks. He can play that. Not that he should necessarily, but Aggie for David, leaving a decent bingo leave EIMS. That looks pretty good, especially with the Twassums hook right there. The S is relatively valuable. I don't mind that play too much, Morris.
Yeah, I would have maybe slightly preferred Yegg, Yegg, just because it does take the back S as well and would make your S a bit more valuable. But otherwise, yeah, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so actually, I don't know. Nutjob's looking a little better and better. Oh, I guess he could play Joram here to the M of Twassum. That's not your everyday word, um, but still pretty good to use one of the two R's. Score well with the J. I expect Josh to play that if he sees it. Um, oh no, Ilsum. I wonder, is David thinking about playing Ilsum somewhere? And oh my gosh, if he is, it now plays for a lot of points underneath Joram. So interesting. I wonder what he's going to opt to do. I like the play of Joram for Josh, but definitely expecting a play of Molly's here. However, there even is, yeah, through the T of Twassum. Even better play here. 90 points for Melilo or Melilos. I'm not sure how you would say that if the T is a hard T in that word.
Yeah, I always think of OT words that are like bingos as plurals in Hebrew words, but that
Yeah,
is one of
true.
the Meli. So I always have to remember if they do in fact take the back S. But Melilo is not one of those, and he does play
Interesting.
Molly's in a nice spot. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's an interesting choice to play it there. Is there some, if I'm Josh, the first thing I'm thinking when I see this is, oh man, he must not be sure that Twassum takes an S, right? He must think
yeah,
it's an adjective because why would you expose an M in the triple lane when you don't really have to? So if I'm Josh, I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I might have a free crack at an S hook that only I think is a valid word. Because playing mollies and twassums not only scores more points, but it's much more defensive as opposed to opening the triples up. This O spot is kind of nice. Um, so we'll see as wow, look at that draw for David. I think that's he's actually drawn a Collins bingo on his rack. Let me not mislead you guys because before I got that wrong with Nut Job. Yeah, it's not, he can't play that, but he'll have lots of good stuff with those high scoring tiles, Will David. So, Josh, what can he do through this nice M that's sitting there, or maybe through the O? Um,
yeah. I mean, the chat's pointing out both 4x and Mixer as options, which both look strong. I wouldn't put it past Josh. I don't see it right away, but like trying to do some sort of setup with the X is definitely something that he sometimes thinks about in these situations too. Like I don't think Filer, for instance, is worth it, but right, Filer possibly setting up Oxo on a future turn would be another kind of idea, but I don't think that's merited. I don't think there's an implementation here that I see that's better than something like 4x or Foxier in this case.
yeah, he plays Fox here. What do you think is scarier, playing 4x here or Foxier, putting that R out in the triple lane, right? It's I have a hard time evaluating which of those two plays is the scariest. I guess I feel like 4x would be much safer than this, but I don't know.
I mean, there are two things you have to keep in mind. One is David just drew seven random tiles, right? He just had a
True.
bingo. The other thing is, so the reason why Will is debating about 4x versus Fox here, both can allow for really big triple plays. 4x probably can actually allow for slightly larger triple plays just because you're getting an X overlap in there, I think. But they'll be closely big. The other thing that Fox here allows for is triple triples. And so it depends on how good he thinks Dave is to some extent too, right? I mean, if he thinks Dave really knows his bingos, then 4x I think has to be the play. If he thinks Dave might not be 100% on all the bingos possible, especially drawing 7 random tiles, it's basically a coin flip, I think.
That's true. That is an argument to be made for why aggression makes a little sense here. If you feel like you have a big word knowledge opponent, both of these word knowledge edge on your opponent, I should say. Both of these players are 4-2 in the record, but Josh is a bit of a higher rated player than David. So David a little bit of an underdog here. Another comment, though, that Josh from the R of Joram is set to play Rebozo for a massive score. That's going to be really big when it comes down. And I don't know if there's any really good plays that David can make that will block that. So Josh changing his rack to the bot zone. Not sure if he's referring to anything specific with the bot zone there, but either way, what will we see here? Looks like Uric. So the suggestion by Stephen A17 of Prahu through that R, a much trickier word to find, but yeah, that looks like a great option here. Uric is a ways off in the scoreboard compared to that play.
But to be fair, I mean, the P and H definitely could score a lot on future turns. So it's not the end of the world by any means. And right, like now he could play Hap, for instance, parallel to the Z in Rebozo
That's
with
true.
those same tiles.
He actually does have theme at the top of the board through that M too.
Nice.
Scoring a boatload. So a couple different choices in different areas. I wonder, it looks like he's, is he getting ready? No, I guess I thought he was going to play het, but OT is not a valid word. So yeah. There's the second blank for Josh. Is he going to get, what's he going to get here? The WU combination might get. Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
All right. He quickly, Josh had a certain idea with this rack. You saw it set up if that blank was an O, but he's now changed it back. A sly look over at the camera. You can see he's giggling. Look at him giggling. Look at this guy, folks. This is why we love Axer Typo. So nice. Nice job there to spot a word. I don't think he's going to have the cojones to play that against anyone.
Nice. Nice choice of word there.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah. We'll just have to see what David elects to do here. I like your idea of if he's not going to play theme for a really good score through the M of Molly's. I do like playing parallel to the Z. It doesn't seem like he's considering any play like that right now, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it feels like he had have and pave as plays he was setting up, but there isn't really spawn the board for them. I know different players have different styles. Some kind of play first to their rack and then look at the board, and some first play to the board and then look at their rack. Maybe he's someone who like first plays to his rack and then looks at the board after.
True. Let's see what he's. Oh, is he going to just play Hive or what? I wonder what he's going for here. Yeah, just Hive. Okay, so this is only a 20-point play. You know, it's worth noting that theme through the M scores 48. So that is a pretty significant sacrifice on the scoreboard. And, he's still hanging in there in the score. He's only down by 60-ish, so we'll see. Josh, of course, with that second blank, can easily see Josh get rid of that WU combination, maybe the K. The play that would have scored 48 would have been theme through the M of Molly's, forming EF and EX. It would have left PAV, which is not a particularly good set of letters for next turn, but for 48 points, you will accept a lot. So yeah, over to Josh now. What do we think he's going to do to, I mean, just WUZ looks like looks like a great way to dump off unappealing letters. Oh, looks like he's going to go a different direction, maybe a little more blocky and
Yeah.
certainly many more points. So I like it. This seems reasonable to me. 32 points for this is a lot. Any instinct, Morris, on was versus Juan?
Yeah, I mean I kind of prefer was. In some ways, I was wondering if he could keep the U and the T.
Oh, look at this. Wow. Redemption
Nice
there.
play.
So if we're getting on David for missing theme or whatever else, we got to give him big props for finding
Yeah.
by far the best play on this turn, extending Za to Zapateo. Extremely nice play by David here. 48 points, getting him right back into the thick of it. And Josh, of course, was hoping for a little bit of a better draw than he got here. So every weak draw for Josh gives David a little more time to get back in this, but that Q is going to hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's part of why was might have been slightly better just because KUT yeah, you keep the blank, but yeah, I guess OII is about the worst draw you could have with that, but it could lead to some clunky racks that you might take you multiple turns to uh get out of. So it'll be interesting to see how Josh recovers from this draw. Maybe he just plays KI and OK off of the O and Zapateo.
It's a reasonable idea. That's pretty good. I mean, definitely in this scenario, a couple S's left. That has a nice extra advantage of, if I'm understanding Morris, is that where you're suggesting to play that maybe that, well, it doesn't really do much to get rid of the,
Yeah,
okay,
where he just went.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that would obstruct the S hook quite effectively, which I think he likes at this score. He doesn't want to get hit with a massive Zapateo play. I like this choice for sure here.
Yeah, and keep in mind with and maybe this is part of his logic, keep playing Juan. He now has TION nines ending ON from the O in Rebozo and the N in Juan, which could be key here. I don't know if he has any nines like that right now.
I
But
certainly don't know either. Let me just give Josh his point. Oh, he has it. Oh my God, Josh's rack is going from bad to worse. He has that blank. He's got to be happy to see it, but it's taking him a long time to land that final finishing blow of a bingo here. And I still think Josh is the heavy favorite in this game because all it's going to take is one good draw for him to potentially bingo to something like the E of obeys, right? If he's able to get a flexible rack, that's very, very likely to come down for him. And, for David, I don't know what he's supposed to do with this Q here either.
maybe exchange. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what he could even play this turn. I guess he could do something like Dad above the ATE in Zapateo, but there aren't really that many high scoring plays for him otherwise.
True. He's going to play a Deem.
Oh,
So
nice. That's a nice idea. Yeah.
like that, opening things up. He's going to need to get a lot of help for that Q. But we do like this play for him, scoring 29. I mean, I think, given the circumstances, you don't want to keep the Q, but you're kind of, you have to if you're going to score any amount of points here. So I do like that play for David. And Josh has to, once again, navigate this vowel issue. Not sure where he's going to be able to he probably can either use up a bunch of vowels or, what's nice? Yeah, Stephen A17 pointing it out right after I say it. Agouti through the G and T of Eggy and Zapateo looks beautiful. 4 vowels used up, keeping IT blank, which now fits very nicely as a 7-letter word underneath the A of a Deem. So that play looks phenomenal. I think Josh is definitely adept at finding plays like this. Let's see if he spots it.
Yeah, and even JIAO would have worked too, but yeah, this is better. A very nice find by Josh.
Beautiful. Yeah. What can you say? That is absolutely the best play here from a 5-vowel rack with a blank in it and one consonant. Josh has managed to balance his rack and score kind of decently, right? Given how difficult the board is to score on, getting 16 points isn't actually that bad. It's not that much worse than usual.
Yeah, and he has retention he is set up off of the ON in Rebosa, which beautiful find right away by Josh. Um, and yes, I doubt Dave's gonna block
Awesome.
that.
That's awesome. Wow. A lot of high level play being exhibited by Josh here. A goodie into retention is an awesome sequence. What can you say? That's really, really high level stuff. Um,
Yeah, and we'll see. So Hardy looks like it's coming out. I might have preferred Duh.
this is a clever idea, though.
It
Setting up
is that
Caddy with an eye draw, which he easily could draw. There's a bunch of eyes to come. Caddy or
that's
Cade.
fair.
It's a cool idea. I agree with you that Duh looks pretty good in a vacuum, but in this particular instance, it's going to work out very well. As I do think that Josh is going to play this awesome bingo of retention, which we know he saw. He could play a normal. I don't want to say run of the mill, human being. It would have to still be a high level Scrabble player. Might see nitrite underneath a Deem here, but retention very, very flashy and looks like a great choice as well for a few extra points. Beautiful. Here it comes. Great play by Josh.
Yeah.
Got to give him all the kudos for finding such a nice play on the top board. And as you guys are noting, David struggling here, did not draw the I he was hoping, and no other vowels besides. Rough.
Well, he has Vang at least off of the spot he created, which isn't quite Cade or Cotty, but Vang still scores 36.
True. Again, you still need hope for that Q after Vang. What's Josh got? Something pretty good here. Not quite anything, I think. But yeah, Vang looks like the obvious choice. You can still get the last U or some of the I's. Definitely the I's would at least let David play Chi underneath a Deem. So, yeah, he's sort of in range, but because he's going to have to waste time dealing with that Q, I don't love his chances of completing a comeback here. Do you see any real pathway to victory for him here, Morris?
I mean, it's make a Q play quickly and then get a high point bingo, I think is the formula he has to go with. He does have COTS now right? He has COTS and retention, for instance, for 24. That could be done next turn.
True. That is a reasonable choice. Wow, a suggestion of Pico Farad. Yeah, nowhere for that to play. That I don't even see how that could be set up, but that would be pretty next level if that were playable.
Pico Faradim.
Sure. Right.
Pico Faradim.
Yes, I see. Oh, the extension to Adim, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Is that the plural of a Pico Farad? Yeah. So Josh,
it doesn't even fit, to be clear, but
true. Yeah, we would need one more space. So if I'm Josh, I'm feeling pretty good. I would be tempted to play something like Farsi to the E of retention, but I think I would end up settling for something like Faro on top down there. Just all I want to do is block off those letters of retention, including the R, T, and E, which are all very good bingo tiles, and leave David with the sevens lane at the top of the board, I guess, or I would try to address it on a future turn. So something like that seems fine to me. What is your instinct here, Morris?
Yeah, I think that those are all solid ideas. I mean, how many tiles do we have left at this point? It feels like there's now been a fair amount of letters played. So we can see there are 20 tiles. That means 13 in the bag. I would definitely, so if there are 13 in the bag, he can't do it this turn, but by next turn, he should try to guarantee that there are fewer than seven remaining, just because then Dave could only get at most one big go.
True. That is the nightmare scenario. The two bingos from here on out. Suggestion of Fico and Joe, that looks pretty good too. That obstructs most of the area of retention, scores nicely, keeps the nice PAR combination that will often turn into a bingo for Josh. Something we have noted, he's going to go with the more aggressive option here. I'm surprised by that, but the score of the game suggests that this is probably an okay choice here. It just scores a lot, right? 36 points. What's happening here? We're going to see Fiacre be played, which seems very, very close, if not identical to Farsi in the same spot.
Well, that does give a big Q play.
That's true. In this particular instance, it's not the same, but it puts Josh up by over 100. David's going to play Cots for 46 in response, so that's pretty
Although,
nice.
I guess there's how many S's have been played? I'm wondering if Cot is at all an option there and keep the S.
There would be one more unseen to David here. And of course, Josh does not have it. Let's see what happens if is he going to consider just playing this? No, he's going to take the extra points. I think that's sensible, right? Like this makes sense because, he's going to get 17 more points. Way more than 17 by playing it, 24 more points by playing it, and then he still gives himself a chance to hit a bingo on the top row. So don't mind this. It actually gets him pretty close. But Josh has good tiles, and again, Josh is too savvy. Let me give Josh the tiles that he actually has, and let me see how that looks. Okay, so this is correct now.
Yeah, and hilariously, the last of the seven tiles Dave drew was an S, so it would have been the exact same rack either way.
Laddies, look at that. So laddies will go down on that top part of the board. So 5 tiles in the bag here. So Josh is pretty much home free as long as he simply does not empty the bag. And there's plenty of places for him to do that, to score decently and not empty the bag. He could even, if he was greedy, he could go for a bingo of his own here, right? Like Josh has pretty good bingo tiles. I think it's pretty safe for him to try to go for a bingo. And if David gets one, okay, so be it. Josh is still going to win the game, but Josh may be able to run his score up even higher. So I don't know. What would you do here, Morris? Would you try to block as best you can, or would you be aggressive knowing that David, even if he bingos, is still probably not going to win the game?
I think you just got to score points. You're up by 70 or 67, excuse me. So in the worst case scenario, there are too many bingo lanes to block all of them at once. So the worst case scenario would be you sacrifice a lot of points. Dave has a huge bingo that you didn't expect, and then you can't score enough at the end to catch up. So I think you just score as many points as you can this turn without emptying the bag, to put you in a position where even if Dave bingos, you have a response play that will be enough to win.
True. Makes sense. Let's see. This is, I don't know. What's he going to do?
Something like Pro went off of the F, making of Fiacre, making of as well. For 20 is probably enough. Something like that.
Yeah, if you want, you could, given that there's 5 tiles, you could tack the A on with that and play PRAO. Maybe you want to keep the A, though, because it's a good bingo tile, of course. Lope is suggested underneath the J. That seems fine, too. Doesn't really block anything at all, but it certainly increases the chance of, if you draw a bingo, that it will play somewhere on the board.
Well, it blocks some bingos ending to the S in COTS a bit, right? Lope
Good
would.
point. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I went kind of
I mean,
blind to that. It totally
elope
does.
is still a word, so if there's an
Yeah.
eight ending
No,
in
but
ES, it wouldn't, but otherwise,
you're
that would be a
totally
pretty
right.
solid block.
It blocks a lot of them. Not all, but a
Actually,
lot.
yeah, it blocks any that don't end in SS or ES, which, granted, those are two pretty
True.
good tiles
Yeah.
for
True.
that. But yeah, I still prefer Pro though, just because I think the most devastating bingos, if Dave has a high point one, would be to that triple. So playing Pro or Prow um, would
Oh,
probably be.
Jeep Placard notes if you want to avoid the Lope issue, you could just play Nope.
That's fair.
Yeah. So you could play Nope. That blocks off the S, but still leaves the sevens lane up top. Which, let's be honest, that is the best lane available. Most of the bingos that you can draw will play under there.
Even still, I think I mean, maybe I don't see anything immediately in the bag where that the highest, like if you want to maximize your chances to win, you have to think about what the highest possible scoring bingo is from your opponent's perspective. And and I think sevens on the triple, even though they're not as probable, will still score a bit more than that more probable lane.
True. So Josh is taking a lot of time here to think this through, which I think if the score of this game were if the score of this game is closer, this position would be absolutely brutal to evaluate, right? Because
Yeah.
Josh is up by so much, he really doesn't have to worry. A lot of the thinking here is sort of like academic, like what's the best way to maximize my spread and to minimize any absolute nightmare scenarios, which are the only way he can lose. But if the score of this game were closer, it would be absolutely brutal. If he had to worry a little bit about blocking David's plays and setting himself up for his own, I guess he really wouldn't. If that were the case, he would just go maximum. Okay, he does play Nope. He does play Nope. So
Yeah, it's a good point.
that makes sense to me. Still really good chance for a bingo, but of course David is probably going to play laddies here. I don't know. Maybe he has. I mean, he's never going to win after laddies, so I assume he needs to not play laddies if he wants any chance of winning this game. But what would he do? There's two in the bag. I
Yeah, you're
mean,
saying
would
like play
he?
off one of the D's
Yeah,
and
like
creating an extra
hived.
lane.
Yeah, is he supposed to play hived? Oh, what's he doing? He's going to play laddiest. Interesting. So this is valid. This is a valid play. Josh is going to get a bingo. Well, I guess Josh was going to get a bingo no matter what because he had latrine in two different spots. So Josh's gambit of sort of going for his own bingo is going to work out for him as David plays laddiest to temporarily go down by just a few points. But Josh is about to play retinal, which we love, don't we, folks? We love all the retina words. Of course, he's probably going to play latrine or something up there.
The latrine or rat line, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So well played to Josh to set himself up for that. And he's going to go out and get 70 points. For whatever reason, he's wincing, looking, and he's shaking his head, looking at his tracking, shaking his shoulders, all these gesticulations. But
I think he might have held
ultimately,
it. I think he might have been unsure
oh,
of the word. But because
wow.
Dave took a while to draw the tiles and see,
That's
I think he
funny.
just shrugged and just like, I don't
This
know, but
if Josh were to challenge this word, this would be an incredible snatching defeat from the jaws of victory here, right? Because the score, it is a 22-point gap here. So if Josh were to, as we were talking about before, Morris, if he were to not, if he were to hubristically challenge this, thinking for sure he's correct, it would come back negative. It would, or not negative. It would come back negative for Josh. It would come back that it is a word, and then David would probably win this game somehow.
I don't think it would have been quite enough. It would have been within 10 points, though.
Yeah, and maybe not, actually. 22 points. You're getting 14 from Josh. That means you need 8 for UN. It might not be possible.
I saw 6 with Nub, so I think it would have been a 2-point loss.
Oh,
still,
no.
No.
NU and Few, yeah. So
nice.
Had Josh challenged, David could win with a 10-point outplay. Of course, he's not going to do that. Instead, he plays Latrine. Nice overlaps. And let me put it in the right spot, 73 points for a final score of 411 to 510 in Josh's favor. So beautiful play. A lot of, extremely impressive plays here by both players, frankly. 1 or 2 plays by David that maybe had some room for improvement, like Hive and Uric. Josh, meanwhile, really, really well played by him, but got to give David credit as well for Zapateo. That's a beautiful play. Adim was a nice play in that spot too. So,
and
good
Hardy
show.
was very creative also. Hardy was a play we both missed, and I think it might have been even better given the scoring situation in the game.
Yeah, and the amount of eyes that were left. There's a good chance of drawing that nice Q play. So had a chance of working out, but of course the all consonant draw for David stopped him in his tracks there. So win for Josh. He moves up to 5-2. David will drop to 4-3. Let me just quickly look and see if I go to the scoreboard for those. I know we have a sizable contingent of folks, the Eric Goldstein gang here. He was up against Noah Walton in his previous game, and we have no score yet on what the outcome of that was. So we'll let you know. But over in the Collins division, looks like Dave Wiegand lost a game, and Austin Shin moving into first place at 5-1. 2 losses now for Dave Wiegand, who was 4-0 in the morning, but lost both of his games to start in the afternoon. So that's the standings update for you guys. And as David and Josh break down this game, maybe what's best for us is to, we could take a quick break again and get ready for the final round 8 of the day. Remember, that's only of day 1. We've got day 2 and 3 coming at you on Sunday and Monday. So this is just a taste, just the beginning of the Crescent City Cup. But Morris, what do you think? Should we take a break and come back for your final game of the day?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, sounds good. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back with round 8 from the Crescent City Cup.